How's it going, guys? Today, I'm going to be featuring the Gdansk, the alternate pan-European legendary tier destroyer. This build, it's much different, sort of, than my normal build that I would usually run in Gdansk, which is very strong, but then to abuse the radar and smoke as much as possible, I decided to, I guess, forego Sims because, chances are we'll just never really get shot at because of our radar and smoke combo with the busted skill that gives you 10% reload, but also extends your radar to the same duration as your smoke generator in terms of its action time. So you can effectively have a 30-second radar. Actually, effectively, Gdansk could have a 35-second radar. We make a little mistake here though. When we shoot the Mogador, we do miss the first few salvos in order to launch some torpedoes towards the Mogador, because I was kind of assuming he would try to turn away or something, but he actually ended up just bow and reversing. Ideally, we probably should have just shot at him if we knew that that's what his plan was, to just bow and reverse. But now that we've smoked up Montana pushing in, we do have some friendly battleships that are close enough to keep the Montana spotted, so we can go ahead and keep farming here. But going back to the build that I'm currently using, I am pretty much running as much reload as I possibly can. The base reload I currently have is 3.8 seconds. I think if we were to run Sims, the lowest you could go was probably somewhere around 4.1. Obviously, 0.3 second difference isn't much, but in terms of actually adding DPM, 3% plus epic mod and the radar, your reload is pretty nasty. I mean, we're talking about 3.5 and less, or less in terms of its reload. And I mean, these guns, we are still using mortar, so we're doing 2200 HE alpha per shell, which is still very nasty. Also, since it's Swirsky, the base trait, kind of countering the debuff from mortar, we're still sitting at 6.1 kilometer detection, which obviously we still have stealth radar, and that's super nasty. Enemy daring pushed into B and is currently capturing. He was actually spotting our CV not too long ago for all of those battleships, including Montana, to shoot. But luckily, Daring is trying to farm our battleships from smoke, so we can sort of sneak up on him. We are located though, so I'm kind of assuming Daring understands that we're here. He starts shooting, gets spotted, basically gives us a free salvo before we actually need to use our radar. And Daring is just basically cooked at this point. We do miss one salvo, but again, 10% reload on 3.8 seconds base reload, probably a little less. It's pretty much under 3.5 seconds. And we only have one stack of the reload mod, so another 2%, which I think drops it to about 3.7. So obviously, this build, pretty much dependent on, I guess, playing around our radar and smoke to not lose HP. Not that we have, a little HP. We're still sitting at 24,400 if we weren't to take any damage, which is, what is it, 1,100 less HP than a Kleber. And Kleber does not have the same utility that Gdansk does: radar, smoke, engine boost. It's basically Mogador hull, so we're still going extremely fast. And then we just kind of I don't know, dumpster Klebers just because you have the utility. Basically what you saw the Mogador do, which was basically nothing except get shot at and lose all of his HP. That's what would happen to Klebers. And enemy Mogador, also there's a legendary tier CV in this match, unfortunately, which is kind of strange. I think this is the second match in Gdansk that I've had a CV. AA is honestly not that bad because it is pan-European AA, although the range is a bit lackluster. I think the range is around 4.5 kilometers, which isn't really anything to write home about, but you can still defend yourself fairly well because your ship is well, I mean, Mogador is super fast, which does help in dodging quite a bit. Friendly BA Montana is our only friendly ship left at A, and the rest of the enemy team, all of their battleships are at A. A lot of them are running away and not actually pushing in. I'm kind of hoping they do eventually push in though and capture A, just to give this match a little longer duration, because if they don't get A, I'm 99.9% sure they're all going to die, and then their score is going to go to 0, and then the game will end when they're all, well, I guess if they die, they wouldn't be full HP, but the potential would just simply be gone. RBA Montana charging out. GK keeps pushing towards Montana even though he had so much support. I think he got scared of a ram and ended up turning away broadside. CV starting to drop us now that we're spotting him. Unfortunately, that gives away our position on the map. So that gives the enemy team an idea of where they need to run away from, which kind of sucks. Yamato slows down, dodges our torpedoes. I feel like if I wasn't spotted at any point by the CV, he probably doesn't slow down and turn in, and maybe we land some torpedoes. Not that we would dev strike him by any means, but now that we've spotted the CV, we kind of need to just get rid of him. I'd rather not allow him to go reverse to the border and go unspotted while he then tries to run away and continues to drop the rest of our team while they push through the enemy spawn. So we need to get rid of him as quickly as we can. Hopefully our team can shoot at him and maybe help me out by dev striking him, just so we can stop chasing the carrier to the back of the map while the rest of the enemy team runs away to A, because obviously if we can't catch up by the time the game ends, then that would be very boring. Using our last engine boost here, Gdansk kind of needs it since you don't have access to prop mod. Engine boost does help with your acceleration a bit, which is very nice, especially trying to dodge CVs. Dodging torpedoes in a destroyer, not the biggest issue. It's dodging the bombs that they've basically doubled per plane, which does kind of suck, because then it's a lot more consistent, and well, we kind of don't like consistency in CVs, because then they just do too much damage for not getting a shot at in return most of the time. Bow and reversing CV to the border, I mean, obviously we're the one that caught him, and we're in something super fast that can, but in a battleship, I mean, CVs have better detection than battleships, so realistically they would never get spotted. But now we're just gonna commit. Obviously killing a CV just feels really good. CV reaching the border. Our torps definitely had range, even though we were launching them sort of at max range, because, well, CV obviously stopped reversing because he hit the border. Gdansk torps, just like Holland, pretty weak. We did launch super narrow spreads, but unfortunately we only landed one torp, and we also didn't flood him. I want to assume he was probably running his automatic DCP just so we didn't get any floods. But luckily for us, Gdansk DPM having a few more stacks of legendary plotting room, doing a little more damage, we can chunk him pretty well. Although even though we were aiming for the side of his ship, I think a few salvos ended up hitting the deck, which does kind of suck. Obviously HE, we do have improved pen, but not quite enough to actually pen the deck. So I was kind of hoping to hit the side of the CV just so we can actually get damage, but you know, artillery in this game doesn't always hit where you want it to. Checking my range, because I forgot if I had any sort of range upgrades, which probably should have realized I didn't, because I do have Twist and Track, and since I was running Scirocco that does 4% reload and Mordoff that does 6%, there would be no additional range. So 11 kilometers is pretty much where I need to get to in order to start shooting at these running battleships. Ideal plan would be to chase this Yamato in the corner, burn him down with our guns, because Gdansk has a pretty good fire chance, and also penning 32 pretty easy for Gdansk. So we can chunk him, set him on fire, and we still have so much HP because we don't have to really trade any of our HP against destroyers, because again, radar, smoke, nothing that the enemy team can really do about it. Getting into range of the Yamato, we can finally actually lead and reach him. So we start shooting him, and we head toward this island on the right. Just in case he does decide to shoot us, the other enemy Yamato decided to turn around at A and come back this way, rather than follow that Alaska that went around A to the north. So we do kind of need to worry about that Yamato in case he does try to take pot shots, so we do need to dodge. Also checking the Alaska because I wasn't sure if he was going to YOLO out, possibly trying to catch up to me on radar. Not that that would be a good idea considering all of our battleships are there at B. Trying to catch up to this Yamato on the border just so I can launch torps and then start heading towards the last Yamato in A. Game is far from over. There's a lot of time and also a lot of points before we reach 1,000. So there's a pretty good chance we can actually go and farm both of these Yamatos just by simply shooting at them. We still have one more radar and smoke, which, since there's no DDs anymore and it's just battleships, I sort of intend to just radar for the DPM and then use the smoke for a longer radar to get a longer duration boost to your reload. And I kind of do this fairly often if there's no DDs. So it's kind of a weird radar, but we might as well take advantage of getting additional DPM just to do whatever we can. I dump torps for the Yamato on the border and start shooting the Yamato at A that's running away. Once those torps start landing, because we did lead pretty well and he did turn in, so he ate quite a bit, I decide to turn my guns back. He is flooding. Not really sure why. I don't think he damage conned the first fire that we set. So we should have a DCP, but it actually will turn out later that he actually quit the match. Using our radar for the additional DPM, and then once the radar is close to ending, we pop our smoke in order to get the additional 20 seconds to the radar and the 10% reload on these guns. Yamato turning broadside to all of our battleships in order to shoot me. I try to slow down here, but again, no prop mod, also not having engine boost anymore. We don't really slow down in time, so we just have to simply speed up and try to dodge as much as we can. But Yamato, being broadside to pretty much our whole team, ends up going down. Unfortunately, we don't get to finish him off. I think we got 2 assists this match. Almost finished off the Mogador. I think when he died to the CV, he had less than a bar. And, well, there was a Kraken potential. But CV match, shooting down a bunch of planes, getting both of their DDs, caps, just doing Gdansk things, 4200 XP. Not even having to really worry about my HP until it was basically the end of the match. Just one of those things that I feel like it really is the commander skill that allows Gdansk to do some pretty ridiculous things. Because we did try playing Gdansk on stream without the gimmick skill, and having a 15-second radar that does allow destroyers to survive a lot better. Like, we wouldn't have been able to take 4 of the 5 bars from the Mogador. Granted, we did blind fire quite a bit and did get a few hits after he went unspotted, but still, he probably would have had so much more HP. Swersky, yeah, contemplating if we should have been using reaching out. A little more range to farm out in the open, but also that 3% reload. Not that it would have made a huge difference, but Gdansk reload build 3.8. I think if we had reaching out, it would have been 3.7 second reload. So 0.1 second difference would be really nasty if we did have something like standard fall. They gave you 0.2% reload for every percent of HP lost on top of everything we have. Might be too much. Obviously it is on the Universal Commander, so that could also be something we end up trying out in the future. But the radar skill, still so busted, allows us to get away without ever needing to really use sims. Plus its base HP is very high. So it's not like you really need it per se, but obviously it's almost like you're unkillable at that point. But that's pretty much it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and subscribe for more and share it with your friends. Or leave a comment down below on other ships you want to see in the future. But anyway guys, till next time, aloha.